Hello, welcome back to another week of the DP World Tour. Skylar, Hoke here, Tom Jacobs. My friend, you enjoyed a heck of a Sunday on the soccer pitch, right? Soccer pitch, Wembley. You were
Yep.
there. Congrats on your squad for a big victory on Sunday. I'm not the biggest soccer follower. I've been figuring out a little bit through following you, and it seems like a big deal.
I always find it really hard to compare it to an American sport because I can't just say it's like the Chargers winning the Super Bowl because it isn't, because we haven't actually won anything yet. It feels like that to me.
Yeah.
We haven't been to the Premier League for 23 years. Very, very exciting. Just to clarify for people that may think that I was on the soccer pitch actually playing, you only ever see me kind of sitting down. If you saw me standing up, you'd realise I wasn't athletic enough to do that. If you saw me playing soccer, you'd realise I definitely can't do that either. So, and despite all that, I'm not even good at golf. So, generally speaking, I can talk about sports, actually performing them, not so much. But it sounds like I might have been more successful than Ryan Fox on Sunday.
I'm not kidding you when I say that's the worst golf beat I think I've ever had in my life, but potentially like betting as a whole. I mean, he had to have been. I mean, Josh Perry tweeted that he was minus 5,000 at one point. So you're on the 18th hole. It's a par five, and you're three up. And Perez has three to go. It's over. You know, it's over. 100% over. You par, you're fine. You bogey, you're fine. And he doubles after hitting into the drink, not being able to get up and down. But the just the most tilting thing was the fact that Perez hit a 17, a 30, and a 40 footer in four playoff holes. So Ryan Fox definitely luck boxed. The only thing that doesn't make me like not show up today is the fact that Fox also had a stretch where he went 40 footer chip and eagle like another 40
I
footer.
mean,
So like it happened to everybody.
wasn't he like 6 under for the day before that double? I think he'd made like
Yeah,
4 birdies and an eagle, maybe. Like,
yeah, for sure. It was everything. He
yeah,
made it all, and everybody had looks all day. Like so, I mean, Moronk saved one from the water and made it like it was a
I saw
wild
that.
short game like
Yeah,
Sunday. So it just happened at the worst time in the playoff to be against. But I mean, it was over, man.
I think
That
the
was that.
worst thing maybe as well is that we were on Victor Perez the week before.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, of
Just to rub salt in the wounds. I mean, I'll be completely honest, Guy. I had completely forgotten you back Ryan Fox, um, because I was just immersed in what I was doing. So, you
it's
know,
better that way. Let's all forget it.
yeah, it was probably best. I mean, you didn't really want me messaging you condolences on Sunday. It would have been the worst. So, and by the time I was drunk, it wouldn't have been worth it. But
The
it
other
was.
thing, though, I mean, did everyone else see what happened on Sunday? No one really. I maybe got one tag. Like Guido Migliozzi finished 10th last week,
I
folks. He
know
was in the group with Ryan Fox.
we've got some things to talk about on that because
Yeah.
yeah, I think I might be ready to check into rehab with you.
Oh yeah, I'm full blown, man. After I mean, the Fox tilt into this. I mean, it is jamming on Guido this week. So, with that being said, let's talk. Let's talk. One of the, I guess, to me, one of my favorite weeks on the DP World Tour year in and year out. Porsche European Open. Many refer to it as just the European Open. Over at the Green Eagle Golf Course. I think we've had a lot of strong duels that we've seen in the time that I've been following closely on the DP World Tour. You've had winners of this event. I feel like outside of Richard McAvoy, have been just like absolute flushers who don't putt, which is like exactly what we bet every single week. So it's like, okay, you get Paul Casey, you get Armitage to get his first win. You get Jordan
Jordan
Smith
Smith.
over the
Yeah.
line here. So like you have a recipe that opens up the floodgates for exactly who we look to bet week in and week out.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing as well. One, I think Richard McAvoy sounds like a film character. I can't remember which film it is he sounds like, but he definitely does. But also, when you look, you've got it started at Green Eagle in 2017. You've had a playoff between Jordan Smith, Alex Levy, one-stroke victory for Richard McAvoy, one-stroke victory for Paul Casey, two-stroke victory for Marcus Armitage, but that was actually a 54-hole event last year, and he just blitzed it with a 65, right? I think it was. So, it's generally a pretty close run thing. 14 under is the best score we've seen, 8 under last year with just the 3 rounds. So I think we're kind of looking at early teens for the winning score this week. But you get some strange characters up there. I mean, you got Paul Casey beating Robert McIntyre in 2019, but burned Rick Hammer was there. You had Marcus Armitage beating Thomas Dietrich last year, but you had Darius Van Drill there. In second place. 2018, Richard McAvoy winning is surprising enough on his own. And then you've got Christopher Blomstrand and Alan John in runner-up place. Really,
that was the year Bryson shot a
it
million.
Was didn't shake his hand, did he?
Nope.
I think
I forgot about that.
Was the thing. If people need a reason not to like Bryson anymore, that's probably one of them. By the way, I like him, but it's one of those things. It's an interesting golf course. I don't remember it very well. My memory is like one of those little fish that you see running around the circus. But it's I think it's a pretty challenging test, and the winning scores kind of dictate that as well.
Yeah, if I had to, they used to have I guess not used to. A lot of PGA guys used to come play this event because they probably got a good amount. Like, I would kill for Zalatoris to tee it up here. And just this is a course that you can see him getting a big victory at. That's who I'm gonna be building a cart around. It's that model.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Paul Casey used to turn up here because he used to get given a Porsche every year, so that's quite nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a pretty decent event, and actually, the field's not too bad when you consider who's at the top.
Yep, absolutely. So I think with that being said, we can really just go dig into the odds. And I'm going to kick it off with talking about the audio format before we even get into the odds. I like to wait till deeper down the card, but let's pump Daily Fantasy Sports Picks and Bets, The Mix. You can find that on all of your different audio formats. If you prefer to listen to us via podcast, you can pop us in the car, drive in the morning. Now, of course, we're coming out Tuesday, the day after the holiday, so a little bit short turnaround with a Thursday start for us. But yes, please rate, review, subscribe goes a really long way for us all here at Mayo Media Network. So top of the board, if we look at it, so there's a clear standalone on the odds. And I don't know if I want to say why I think it might be why he's coming over here, but maybe Tommy Fleetwood could be getting a gear up for a golf tournament happening in the UK potentially next week.
I think you're probably right. I think that's a pretty fair assessment to make. That won't make Tommy Fleetwood fans happy, but we don't know that. We don't have any knowledge. Pretty clear. I would say if
you looked at the Americans that might be teeing it up in the Asian Tour event over there, you might see a little Peter Uline or a Turk Pettit over there. It's just odd to be on the Asian Tour. So, but back to the odds here. So yeah, Tommy's the clear standalone 10, 11 to 1 over here.
Did he make any kind of appeal to you? Because we saw last week that Matt Wallace just kind of turned bad form around on the PGA Tour to really good performance last week, and it was he's dropped in class, that's going to happen. And Tommy Fleetwood's actually been playing really solidly. I didn't 12 to 1. I just can't do it. I can't watch the guy putt. But I was interested to see how it will make a massive change in how we view Tommy Fleetwood this season if he gets a win where he's expected to. I think. Yeah,
there's just a hard rule. We can't bet him this low. Even in the 20s, I think we got to stop ourselves at most events with him. But yeah, I bet him last week, on the PGA Tour and thought, he made a lot of sense. I mean, he was so good at the PGA Championship. So yeah, I'm not there, but I mean, clearly we know when we get to the next step, he definitely is above, the Moronks. I mean, Smith 25 to 1, Rasmus 25. I mean, Bob 25 as well. I guess the one, and I'll start my card here. I don't know why all of those guys are in the 20s and Adrian Anas is 33 to 1. It just doesn't add up to me. He was obviously over the line, got his victory 3 starts ago, comes back out with a poor start after that. I mean, he's been pretty decent all year. And then he's lights out at the PGA Championship. He sniffed top 10 on the weekend. He basically is the reason I bet Ryan Fox last week is exactly why I'm betting Adrian Anas this week. So if I experience that heartbreak once more, I need a vacation.
Yeah, well, you just had one as well, haven't you?
I
So
need another
yeah,
one.
yeah. Adrian House, I think it's really impressive what he's done. He's finally kind of got that win that he was very, very much deserved for a long period of time. Playing the ball, playing nicely, like you said, backed it up with the PGA Championship, sort of good stretch there. Whether we're concerned about back-to-back miscuts here or not, I don't know. I guess it's just what you see that being. He's a different player now, but he's had he shot an 82 last year. I think he shot an 82 both years, 82, 79. So just
Maybe
slightly
that's why he's
concerned.
33-1.
Is it the water? There's water in 17 holes here. I don't know,
could be,
but I think also that's a very easy way that people just discount people. And
Agreed.
I've tried to get out of that in the sense of you see course for miscut, and maybe it's just experience of seeing the courses enough than actually playing well.
I mean, he was top 10 tee to green at the PGA Championship. I mean, so he does his finish. He finishes 30th while losing 3 strokes on the greens because he got the 2 under early Saturday. I mean, that's what the playoff was 5. To say like him and Fox, like we talked about before, like really weren't that far out of a breakthrough. I mean, there's a lot of golf to play after that, but I mean, to me, it's just I'll take that risk at 33-1 with a golfer now, especially because he has that first win. If he was still seeking it out, I would probably think a little bit harder, but he might just be playing a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah, I think he's probably better, and I think he's more relaxed. He's obviously playing better, which is huge. I think it's not a golf course that is impossible to turn the form around. Just because you've had miscuts in the past doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have it in the future. And he's just a better player than he's probably being credit for. So, whereas before he always seemed a little bit short, he might be on the big side this time around.
Yep. So that's where I'll start, and after that, I get a little bit deeper personally. For me, I know there's another golfer. I guess depending on where you're kind of shopping, I'll let you talk. I'll let you talk Thomas Dietrich here before I go in a little spiel about my next pick.
Yeah, so Thomas Dietrich, he's not in the form that I would kind of hope, but as I just sort of said about Adrian House, years of kind of thinking he was too short a price, I now think he's actually getting too big. Kind of 50-1 is available here. I think you can get sort of 40-1 some places as well. So it depends where you're obviously shopping. But, he missed the cut of the Dutch last week, but that was on the number. Tee to green, he was 38th on day 1, 20th on day 2, and he gained over 2 strokes in approach in round 2, which makes me just think that he could just be hitting his irons a little bit better coming into this week. And you'd look at the fact he was second at this golf course last year. We don't know what would have happened if there was an extra day. He was second in the BMW International Open as well. So that's 2 second-place finishes in Germany. And he's played here 3 times, finished 37th, 13th, 2nd. So really and truly, if he's going to break through, this looks like the kind of place he's going to do it. And I really will take the chance on that happening when we've looked at the people that, Ryan Fox has gone on a really good run. Adrian House has obviously got that breakthrough victory. Like he is in that kind of mold of players. Adrian Maronk's going to break through some point. So when you look at Jordan Smith winning here in the past, I think that's a good pathway for Dietrich getting his first win.
Yeah. He feels a tough one to nail, but when you get to this odds, I guess, on any of these guys, I think it's more or less a numbers game than trying.
That's
to,
all
I
it
guess,
was for me, really.
Yeah, more than I'm trying to nail the winner at 33s. I think you're knowing that he's better than what he is, and I think for me the golfer that I'm betting in this range that I didn't anticipate being, I don't, because there's just nothing in the stretch of form outside of the underlying numbers. And I guess maybe I think there could be a little bit of a renaissance year as the new Ryder Cup captain. If I had to just think about flushers, think about irons, think about those playing from the fairway and just hitting, it's a longer course, just hitting those long irons to a stop where you can take advantage of. And I guess he was here, at shorter odds last year. And what I would say probably worse form was Henrik Stenson. And I mean, you just dig into the way he's been playing. So, I mean, last time we saw him, I believe the last 2 times we saw him miscut. Both of those events, though, were all because of the short game was not there. So not playing the weekend of the PGA Championship but he gained over 2 strokes per round approach. Not playing the weekend of the Byron Nelson, but he gained over 3 strokes total in approaching those 2 rounds. Actually, I looked into his Zurich Classic when he finished 14th. His individual rounds were very, very strong, led by the ball striking there. I mean, he hasn't lost strokes with his irons since the Honda Classic, and he's missed a bunch of cuts in the middle there. So we just know that game is still kind of happening. 55s, you could argue, just feels odd in some ways for him, because you'd think it could be longer. I just don't know if they would ever price Henrik Stenson much longer than that right now. But of courses that they're going to play, I think this could be the one for him.
Two-time winner of the BMW International Open as well in Germany, which is always a positive thing to see. Don't know necessarily the courses overlap that much, but obviously I kind of like that location form. And like you, I noticed the kind of iron play is really strong. I think probably we talk about Tommy Fleetwood, probably another guy that's coming over to maybe go and play on the tour that may not be named. Either that or he's checking out some Ryder Cup talent. We don't know.
He was in Italy just a week, like last week.
Yeah.
You think he would really man, that would be a twist if he teed it up there as a Ryder Cup captain.
I think he'll be playing, because there was all this kind of commotion that he wasn't going to be able to accept the Ryder Cup captaincy if he took the pledge and played in the Live Tour stuff. But he never came out and went against it. So I feel like he could be.
I can't imagine there's Ryder Cup implications for the Euro Tour guys doing it already, because there's already some decent ones.
Right. So I think the only thing that he could be coming to do is come and see kind of the fringe guys like Arnaus, McIntyre, Dietrich, or whatever. But he knows what Fleetwood's all about. He doesn't need to come and see him. So I do think he could be just warming himself up for that Live Tour. But his irons were really good. He played really well when he dropped down into this kind of level at the end of last year, didn't he? He kind of had that really strong run of results. And as I say, the iron play is really good. I think the number's a little bit short, but it's it's factored into Henrik Stenson and the fact that if he does get into contention, he's probably really reliable.
Yeah, it was just more like the research is leading me to him. If it was a blind resume, I'm betting this guy, and you just kind of added the pedigree with it. So I guess that would be where I think we land next. So we have a trio of golfers we're both on in this range, and not just you and I think literally any person that has a Twitter that says I like golf has bet all 3 of these golfers. Do we need to go one by one? Well, we are, because of the Italian, but can we? So we have Sean Crocker.
Yep.
First off, and I don't know if you mind editing last week, so you can just crop or cut exactly what we spent 12 and a half minutes talking about last week, and just inject it in here, and say, okay, Sean Crocker, that is why we bet him. But quick, just 30 seconds on him.
Yeah, we'll just add on the fact that he was, he qualified for the US Open. We said he was there at the time. Obviously, got that done really well. Irons are super hot, and we don't need much encouragement to play. Sean Crocker finished 11th here last year, had another round to go, may have climbed up the leaderboard as well. So dangerous player when he's in that kind of form.
And his odds, this is coming out on Tuesday, have been cut drastically. He opened up triple digits. If you didn't grab it Monday morning, 60-1. In some of these guys, it's just like, I'm not going to miss that, and I'll put the extra money on it at 60-1. I didn't care what his odds were, unless they were 28.
20s,
yeah. I mean, Sean Crocker was on the card. Okay, so that's one. So then we'll talk Schneider next. Marcel Schneider, right? Yes.
Marcel Schneider. Yeah, he's got miscut 13th, miscut 7th, 4th, but the miscut, the British Masters was on the number. And he shot a 68 after opening with a 77. Top 7 last 2 weeks in straight gain approach, 5th and 11th in tee to green in that time. And he was 7th on his debut here last year as well. Obviously, he's playing with a name like Marcel Schneider. He's playing in his home country. You're not going to get many players that are finishing 7th and 4th. And again, he was another guy who opened up triple digits. 13th, 7th and 4th in 3 of his last 4 starts is pretty impressive, and could break through here.
Yeah. 70-1 there is the deepest odds we have in the States still with that. I'm taking it. There was no doubt in mind. That's a bet for us. And then the one and only
Magic.
Guido. He's still 90s. They're still giving us Bet365 is just doing these things to all of us in the industry where they just leave the odds for the people that are betting a
Yeah,
little bit longer and give you
they
the
know.
boost. They know, but we're going to take that money for them. We'll take the 90-1 a little bit deeper. Tom, so you bet Guido. So
Yes.
this is taken serious in this segment now. Tell us why you're on Guido.
Yeah, so look, he was 7th on debut here. I think it was in 2018, 2019, maybe. He was 3rd through 36 holes as well. He gained strokes in 3 of his 4 rounds last week. He was 18th on day 1, 25th on day 2, and 3rd on day 3. And then he just lost 6 strokes on approach on Sunday. Did you see any of that? Was that just over aggressiveness?
So I watched pretty much, I would say almost all of his round, or at least tracked it. And I think I'd attribute it to over aggressiveness. He wasn't great driving, and it put himself in a couple. There was a lot of, if you tracked it all last week, native area was everywhere. You hit it a little bit offline, you're in the native area. So sometimes you would get a really good lie. Sometimes it would be tough to play it out, and he wouldn't stop from going from the greens on some of them. I think he had like 4 or 5 water balls on Sunday.
I think he's just a guy that's really used to contending, right? When he gets into the hunt, and I think he just, instead of settling for the fact he was sort of going to finish inside the top 10, he wants to go for that win. And when you're a little bit rusty in contention and your irons are slightly off, water around you can get messy. So I'm just going to take the positives from the fact that he was really good for 3 rounds. And just look at, it looks like he's been coming back for a little while now. We've been talking about it. You've also been talking about it for 37 months. But, it's his first top 10 since last August. And as soon as that happens for someone like Guido, you stand up and take notice.
Yep. And it's very interesting to see him play that way on Sunday, and makes betting him outright even more enticing, because him and Sean Crocker too, like, I feel like we're further into the year than we really are. We're only halfway through the season. There is a lot of events left. But if the season was to be over right now, these guys on the outside looking in, they're going back to Q school. They do not have status right now. They are outside the top 125, and really, honestly, not that close. Like, they would need to string together a couple more finishes. That event for Guido, and then the top 10 for Crocker, that's like 2 of their only like qualifying events that they have the entire year of points. You don't get them for like made cuts, but not like decent finishes. So a win gives you a status for a couple of years. Guido's obviously running out of that. So I think these guys, like, it is big time career changing type of things when you can lock up status, at least for a little bit of time. And of course, US Open's right around the corner, man. I mean, you give me a little bit more life out of Guido.
He's ready for a top 5 back to back.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I think
I think the thing with someone like Crocker as well, you talk about playing for status, like, how tempted would he be if he lost his card to just try go down the Corn Ferry route and qualify for that? And that can mess with your career, right? And I'm not saying he's not capable of doing it. He very much is, but it felt like he was on a really good path and trajectory on the DP World Tour last year. And you hope that he kind of gets back into that and can work his way into starts on the PGA Tour, as opposed to trying to fight his way for qualification.
That's a little bit of one of my fears with the DP World Tour right now, is we've had so many regulars for a couple of years since we've been doing this, that it feels like there can be a major shakeup in who's going to be the field, especially with the LIV. If they're going to take out some of these golfers, then like what kind of fields are we looking at a year from now? I think in some of these events,
I kind of spoken this in the podcast, and we haven't really got time to go into it today, but that I think it's almost on the way out if they don't find a way to build this alliance with the PGA Tour. And they've got one event this year where they're boosting it with a PGA Tour field, Scottish Open. Like, that's not enough. Like, they need more. They need more sponsors. And it's the schedule. It's the way they do it. Like, we had like 3 or 4 weeks ago where we didn't talk, and 3 or 4 weeks of withdrawal since there was no Guido. That puts us off, and even we become disinterested. So imagine what these other guys that just watch it every now and then get into. So with Tommy Fleetwood potentially off to the LIV Tour, that's one real starlet that they've relied on for 3 or 4 years. McIntyre's already tried to go to the Corn Ferry. I don't know if he quite goes to the LIV. I think he likes his home, but there's certainly some concerns there.
Yeah, it's and I'm o- I'm not against like bad fields. I'm not against, digging through, and that's from a punting perspective, from
Yeah,
from a
yeah,
handicapping. If you want to grow the game and grow interest, that yeah, the recipe that I agree with you. But we'll have to save the conversation, yeah,
yeah.
for not when we're digging into triple digits and we're about to, buy a new house here with some of these guys that we got. So for me, continuing on board, we each have one left. I guess I got two. I got a popular long shot, I guess. But the first one for me here, still available as of this morning, was like, I guess he's down to the 80s now. It was 110 this morning. But JC Ritchie came off 25th at the Dutch Open. You bet him and Sudal after he had a top 10 at the
Yeah.
British Masters. So I just zoomed out a little bit on JC Ritchie's year. He's 20th in strokes gained approach. I just never he's a bigger guy. He's somebody that I always thought was overpowering with the driver. Like somebody, and now that we've gotten like a decent sample of his overall game, I do think his irons are not appreciated, or at least given credit in his game more than it is. He is a long driver too, but it's spectacular iron play every single time he's come out. Dutch Open was pretty decent there, and so this is interesting, and I'll bring it up on the long shot too. So the Challenge de España that was played in the Challenge Tour 2 events ago. Also, bar not having enough time for the conversation. If you think the DP World Tour is getting crazy, the Challenge Tour is wild right now. They're having 500-1 winners, like guys that have barely any starts just coming out with victories. It is crazy there right now. But the Challenge de España had a 3-stroke wave difference in that event. He was in the bad wave, finished 13th. So, you just have to credit that a little bit differently. So I think that was enough for me, seeing he's still in okay form, did decent last week, was good with the irons again. Add to it 80-1, triple digits, what you can get. I like JC Richard. We know he's a winner.
And when he was 64th in the Sadao Open, when I was on him, he was 15th going into round 3. He shot an 80 on Saturday. No idea, literally no idea where it came from. So the fact he's back up with 13th, like you just said, was actually probably better than 13th and a 24th place finish last week. I think he's to be respected.
Yep, 100%. So in my opinion, your next selection is the single most accurate driver in the entire world. I think Ashley Chester's, you could give him that 1-yard fairway challenge, he'd probably hit it in like 2 shots.
The reason he's not on there is because it would be a short video, right? But he's played here 4 times, 1 miscut, and he's gone 8th, 9th, and 18th. And it just feels like if Ashley Chester's is ever going to win anywhere, it'll probably be somewhere like this. It's a long time since he broke through at the Open in 2015, where he was 12th. But, I think that he looks like he's, in decent form. He gained over 2 strokes in the first round and nearly 2 again in round 4 last week. He's been top 11 in 2 of his last 5 starts in tee to green as well. So just looks like he's in really good solid form of his ball striking. As you point to, it's pretty hard for him to gain strokes in terms of distance off the tee, but accuracy is really, really good. And this could just be a really good golf course for him, and it appears that way in the history.
Yeah, and it's a longer course, but it doesn't play to that.
It doesn't play long. It doesn't,
yeah.
It's funny because, and me and Brad said the same thing what you were going to say there, and sorry to cut you off, but like it looks like it should be a bomber's paradise, and it just isn't. Like Armitage isn't a big hitter. Richard McAvoy certainly isn't a big hitter. Jordan Smith is decently long, but that's not what he relies on. Schwab, not a long hitter. Molinari, Southgate. Like Southgate, I suppose, is probably a big hitter, but like it, generally speaking, it's more accuracy over distance on this golf course. And I think, especially with the water in play, is something to focus on.
Yep, 100%. So we'll figure out, let's see here, one final selection. I'm not going to lie, I didn't go back, but I'm like 99% sure I bet this guy at this event last year. Because Nick Backham, the Brad pronounce it right?
It would certainly fit your mold if you did back him. The only difference is that everybody...
Maybe, that's how I'm going to pronounce his last name, Backham.
Yeah, like that's right. Yeah, Backham. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Backham. I'm back in on Backham this week. Okay. Running it back. And this was interesting to me. because the only reason I knew who this guy is was because our friend Bradley Todd. And I think Brad made me bet him last year. It's the only thing that makes sense. I would never do something like this. I wouldn't ever bet a guy who had two wins on the Pro Golf Tour, leading into a DP World Tour event, that he was, top 100 as an amateur leading up. But what was interesting about Backham this year is his finishes, are on the Challenge Tour.
Yeah.
Until digging into the research, I haven't really bet Challenge Tour this year. Didn't realize he had upped. I think because his order of merit from the Pro Golf Tour might have got him status, but his strong finishes this year are on the Challenge Tour: 3rd, 11th, 5th, last 3 times out. And if you look, the 11th was Challenge de España. Made me do that research, finding JC Ritchie was also in the bad wave. Backham was also as well. So that 11th place finish was the second best score of the people in his wave. So you could arguably say, I don't know, top 5 there. So then that's a 3rd, 5th, and 5th, his last 3 events. He played this event before. Tom, you're going to tell me what he shot. It's probably, I would take the over on 79.5 in his first round score, if I remember things correctly. But he's like 400 to 1, man. That's we can do a lot with him.
Let me tell you what score he was. So no, you bet the under. He was 76 in round 1, but he did shoot 79 in round 2, so still the under.
Double under.
That's pretty impressive. I think he missed a cut by 7 shots or whatever,
but at least,
so did Adrianos. Just not to. This is not okay. Yeah. This is going to sound really bad. So did Adrianos. So did Henrik Stenson.
Okay.
So
we are at the same course. So okay.
So your card at the moment is
matter.
Arnell Stenson. So Stenson shot 77.77, Backham 76.79, Arnell 73.82.
Okay. I like either they had to have the best course history like Guido and Crocker, or the worst. No in between, man. I don't want the T4.
If it gives you any positives, Rafael Jacqueline was on the same sort of score last year. So was Ross Fisher.
Don't make me add any more to the card, Tom.
Oliver Wilson was there. 275.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And he's got the strokes gained Nottingham Forest this week. He's a Nottingham Forest guy as well. So,
okay.
No, look, in jest, right? I think that Backham, he's been very, very popular this week, and I think he's actually a different player than he was when he played here last year. So, whereas you could have the concerns over the more established guys, I think someone going 3rd, 11th, and 5th on the Challenge Tour, we've seen it already, like Hedy Duplessis, Oliver Becker, people just stepping up from the Challenge Tour and going straight in, Ricardo Gouvier, like it's going well. So why not? Yep,
100%. All right, we've hit hard stop here time. Let's review the card here, and we're hitting winners. It takes a lot to show up here with enthusiasm after what happened last Sunday, Tom. That was heart-wrenching.
I couldn't wait, but I was completely numb to it all. I was out in different places. But look, I am going to be backing Thomas Dietrich at 40 or 50 to 1, depending on where you can shop. I'm going to be a Marshall Schneider at 60, 70 to 1, Sean Crocker at 60, 80 to 1. Guido Migliozzi 90 to 1, they're still hanging for us. Ashley Chesters, I think you still can get the 125 to 1, and I do like your Nick Backham. I think he's worth backing.
Yeah, Backham is always worth backing, baby. Okay, Adrianos 33 to 1, and then we'll be going Henrik Stenson, longest odds still for Stenson 55. Like you mentioned, Crocker 60 to 1, Marcel Schneider 70 to 1, Guido Migliozzi 90 to 1, JC Ritchie 80 to 1, and then we'll be closing out with Nick Backham. I think he's still 400 here in the States. We'll definitely get ourselves with a little top 10. Yeah, we got 300 here on DraftKings. So, we'll get ourselves a top 10, 20 with him, and excited for another week. I mean, we got our stretch run here, Tom. I mean, me and you like the Scandinavian Mix Open. Next week's going to be, I think it's a fun one to preview. So, we're leading up into a couple majors here, but let's have a week. Let's hit a winner. I need it. My heart.
Good, buddy. I think you deserve one. The show certainly deserves one, and hopefully we bring the entertainment if we don't bring the winners.
Amen to that. Good luck to everyone this week, and we'll talk to you next.